When it comes to selling online courses and digital products, we often get into the headspace that we need to sell more to make more. But in this episode, we're joined by Holley, who explains why this may not be the case. She will explain the 2 ingredients that you need to scale your business successfully, and you might be surprised as to what they are. Holley is a mother of 2 girls under the age of 2. She is a profit strategist who helps business owners, specifically women, create massive action through small steps. She's been an accountant for over 3 years and is dedicated to helping women achieve their financial goals. Kira started this journey to be able to watch her children grow up and now wants to help other women do the same. Welcome to Bloggers Creating Courses, the podcast which will take you behind the scenes of creating an online course. I'm your host, Verity Songon, founder and education consultant at veritysongon.com. I'm so excited to help you create an online course that you are proud of and to be part of your journey to scale your business as an online course creator. Let's get into the episode. Kira, thank you so much for being here today and for coming onto the podcast. I'm really, really excited. Our theme of the episode is around this idea of selling more to make more. But I think that listeners, if they've come on here, I'm just going to say, if you've come on here seeing the title about selling more to make more, and you think that we're going to give you like a 10-point strategy that you're going to be able to walk away and be a millionaire by the end of the week, I'm very sorry to disappoint. This is not going to be the episode for you. But what I am really excited about in this episode is we are going to be talking about 2 things which will help you scale your business and scale your online course growth and selling as well. We're going to be talking around mindset and knowledge, which is really, really empowering, I think. It's Mental Health Week over here at the moment in the UK. So I think those 2 things are really, really on theme, on trend, but also really, really important because they're things that we've already got inside of us that we can help to scale our businesses. But before we dive into that, Kira, I'm going to hand over to you. Tell us all about you, what it is that you do in your business. Just tell us all about you.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here. I think it's such a huge thing to talk about mindset and knowledge. And I am very passionate about sharing this information to as many people as possible. So a little bit about me. My name is Kira, and I own Heritage Business Strategies. It's a full encompassing accounting firm, but we also go over advisory services too. So I help a lot of small business owners, a lot of female-led business owners to scale their business and to set those goals and see what can we do to reach those goals in your business. So a lot of great things happening. And I've been working in my business for about 3 years now. And a little personal note, I have 2 little girls under the age of 2. So I completely understand the busy and crazy lifestyle that comes with a lot of business owners. So if anybody knows about shifting your mindset, it's definitely me.
I love that. And we've already discussed about how I've got my 6-month-old in the room as we're doing this. You have managed, I respect you, you have managed to find childcare for today.
Yeah, my childcare is my husband has the girls in a car and is driving around town while I'm in the house.
I love that. Shared responsibility and all that. So on that note, let's jump in because the first thing we are going to be talking about is mindset. So really big question to be starting off with, but how does having a CEO mindset help you when it comes to running a business?
A lot of thinking that goes into this, and it's not thinking about, well, I need to know how to run a business. I need to know the numbers. It's really thinking about yourself, and it's thinking about where do you want your business to be at? Why did you start this business? For me, it's to watch my girls grow up, and it's to be able to provide, that lifestyle where I can be home with them. I've got their college tuition set aside. And I feel like a lot of times when you start getting into business, you start going down this rabbit hole of I have to do everything myself. because I fully understand your business is your baby at the same time. You've worked really hard to grow this, but you have to start thinking about how can I have this eagle view of my business and set forth that vision that I created for it. And for me personally, I could outsource a lot of my work. I know with some, coaches and consultants, you really are the face of that business, but that doesn't mean, you can't get help. There's a lot of different ways that you can ask, a VA, or you can get, some friends to help you, and just even your email. There's a lot of different things that you can bring with that community to help you stop being an operator in your business and to start viewing yourself as that CEO. And really, the CEO, like I said, is just you need to have that eagle view. You need to make sure that your focus is on the bigger picture and not just the day-to-day aspect of your business.
Absolutely. I think that's so important. There's a couple of things I want to pick up on that you said there. First of all, is this idea of doing everything, because you're right. It's so easy when we own our own businesses and we're responsible for making our own products or selling our own services, however it fits in for us. It's really easy to think that, quote unquote, we do all the things. And it can be so overwhelming for people. You're thinking, I've got to put up an Instagram post, I need to get Twitter sorted, I need to finish that consult, I need to do that call, whatever it is, whatever's relevant to your product and your business. Absolutely, it can be so overwhelming. So I love that advice, that if you can reach out and think about those kind of tasks that you want to keep, and think of those tasks that you can actually source out. And like you said, it could be that you're getting an assistant to help you with whatever part of the business you need help with. I think that's really fantastic advice. And again, coming back to that point, as you said, of remembering why you started your business in the first place. Why did you start your services, your digital products, your online course? Why did you do that? And how is that relating to your end goal? I think that's really important, checking in with yourself every so often to kind of think, am I on the right track for me? Definitely.
And also too, a lot of the things as well is, I'm a perfectionist, and I think a lot of people can relate, especially when this is your business. I had a hard time asking for help. I really did. And that's why I was an operator in my business for such a long time, because I didn't feel like I could pass it off. And I felt like, well, who else can provide this level of service that I can? And honestly, though, it hurt my business having that, closed off mindset, because there's only so much that one person can do. So if you really want your business to scale, you really have to make those imperfect actions. It's not going to be perfect. I am still learning. I've been in this business for 3 years. I'm good at what I do, and I am still learning, and I'm still having to think about that mindset and be like, you know what? I'm just going to ask for help. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to be messy, but I'm getting the help, and it's freeing up time so I can focus on what I love to do, and which is being here on this podcast and sharing this.
I think that's so important, because out of every guest that we have had on the podcast to date, everybody has said exactly the same thing. Yes, you're the face of your business, but if you need to ask for help, if you need to outsource, do that. And I think that that's probably one of the real unspoken hacks in some way. I hate the term hack, but I do think that that's almost like an unspoken hack of the digital business world. Just because we're the face of our business, and it's really easy. We go onto Instagram, go onto Twitter or TikTok, whatever it is, and we see this one person and we think, oh my gosh, they are just bossing their life. But what we don't see is, like you said, the VA behind them. You don't see the Pinterest manager. You don't see the podcast editor. I don't know, whoever it is that makes up that individual's team. You don't see those people. And as I said, I think that's really interesting that every single person that I've spoken to so far on this podcast has said exactly the same thing. Don't try and do everything by yourself, because it's just not going to it's not going to work. And like you said, you run the risk of actually hurting your business
Mhm.
more. So
Yeah.
I think that's a really important takeaway for anybody tuning in. So I think that brings us on really, really nicely to my next question of how can you shift your mindset to actually start scaling your business?
So, one of the things that I talk about and that I'm passionate about is bringing on that mindset and pairing it with knowledge. A lot of business coaches that I've worked with, and I mean, even looking at like workflows, is start time tracking, like seeing what your time tracking is. Let me be completely honest with you, that does not work for me. I tried time tracking and it literally looked like 5 minutes I was doing email, 5 minutes spent with the kids. And then 5 minutes later, I went to my business. Oh, and then the kids needed me again. And it was like all over the place, so it really doesn't need to be perfect with like looking at what you need help with. But what I like to do is just reverse engineer where you want to be at. And this is kind of where my knowledge of, accounting comes into play, but it's super simple. What month or what yearly goal do you want your business to reach? Let's just say your first milestone that you want to reach is, let's say, 100K a year. Okay, so what do you need to do to get to that 100,000 in, let's just say, sales? Let's say that's just your gross revenue, all that money combined is 100,000. Now take a look at your schedule. Okay, so for me personally, with having my two girls, I'm very realistic in that I only have probably 3 or 4 hours a couple times a week, and it needs to be flexible for me to actually work on my business because I know that my kids are going to take a lot of my time. And then look at if you're a coach or whatever service or product, take a look at, okay, how many clients can I bring on and can I hold? If you're a coach, let's say you do a coaching program for 4 weeks, you do a one-on-one, you're really talking with them personally. Okay, so you might be able to bring on, let's say, 2 or 3 people safely to be able to, really provide them that customer service. Okay, so let's say 3 people for that 4 weeks, and you multiply that by, we've got 12 months in the year. And then you think about, okay, so that's how many people I can bring on, and you divide it by 100,000. So now you kind of have that rough estimate of how many people you can bring on and how much you should be charging. So now that you've got that rough estimate, go out and look at your competitors. I've actually seen a lot of people take other business coaches programs just to see what are they doing? What can I improve on? Go look at your mentors. I promise you, on my Facebook, I literally track down every accounting firm that where I want to be at. I followed them. I friended them. I'm looking at what they're doing. How can I bring that into my business? And what are they charging for it? Are people willing to pay these prices? And the other part to that is, honestly, when you're just starting out, it's okay to charge cheap. I know that's like a big thing, is that like charge what you're worth, and I fully agree with that. But when I started out, I was cheap because I needed to validate my own skills, and that's okay. I learned a lot. I got a lot of clients. I learned a lot of new skills. And then once I had a little bit more confidence, I was like, okay, I know I can do this. So let's start getting me to where that, goal needs to be at. So just kind of like reverse engineering, thinking about your schedule. That's kind of like the big tick, is just look at what you can realistically handle in your business.
Absolutely. Being realistic with yourself and your goals and your time is so, so important. And again, I think too often we're led by somebody else's dream. And it's about, like you said, checking in with yourself and actually, is this my dream? And is this where I want to go? And I absolutely love what you said about check out your competitors. And I think sometimes people get really worried and go, but is that not copying? Is it? No, it's not. It's market research. You're finding out what's out there and you're figuring out what works for other people. You'll figure out what works for you and what doesn't work. And I also love what you said about starting cheap because, yes, I completely agree with you. Charge what you're worth, but it's always, in my opinion, easier to higher your prices than it is to go in with a really high price and then start lowering and pedaling back and what have you. So I think there's some really, really great advice there that people can apply to their coaching services, their online courses. And
And
like you
don't,
said,
and
go,
also don't forget to get reviews too. So when you're starting out cheap, if you're getting people in, if you're providing those results, ask for reviews. That is the number one thing that honestly I didn't do when I first started out. I didn't ask for reviews, and I wish I did, because I had a lot of great people coming in like, man, you should be charging more for these services. Man, you're doing a great job. Like for this price point, you're providing a lot of value. Get those reviews, because that's going to really help build that confidence in that brand and allow you to charge higher prices.
absolutely. And if you're getting those testimonials as well, essentially what somebody is saying, if they're saying to you, you should be charging more, what they're saying to you is you are great value for money. So just think about, I suppose, what they're saying and how that could sound to other people when you're getting those testimonials. I think that's so much value because so often people say to me, oh, but I'm not selling, at my desired price, or I'm not selling formally at the moment. How am I going to get a testimonial? Well, like you said, it's ask people for them first off, and just think about how that language can be interpreted by other people to really help bolster and sell your services. So that's all about mindset, which is so important, because as we've said, you've got to be in the right mindset to really quote unquote CEO your own business there. But let's now talk more about the knowledge part of our theme. So what sort of knowledge do you think you need to know about your business in order to scale it?
So that's kind of what I was talking about with the 100,000, and those are the kind of like realistic numbers, because it's like a pairing. You have that mindset, but also the knowledge. So really, the knowledge is just specifically looking at the numbers and looking at your financial goals. So that's kind of what I was going into. If you're wanting that 100,000, and realistically, you can take on 3 clients, and you can do that for 12 months out of the year. So that's realistically about 36 clients that you can take on for the year. And then you just divide that by the 100,000. And that comes out to about $2,700 for a coaching program, which actually is really good because I've seen a lot higher tickets. I'm actually in a mastermind that is way above that. And they don't even provide that one-on-one feedback. So it's really like, okay, that's where I need to hit the goal. I need to have 3 clients a month, and I need to charge this price. And that's really all you need to do to get started. Everything else can be learned, but you need to really look at those specific numbers to see that clear vision of, okay, if I'm not able to get 3 clients this month, why? Am I struggling to fit them into my schedule? Do I need to get help? Because having those numbers, that's going to kind of propel you towards that goal and really help you understand if you're not able to reach those numbers and that goal that you have, why? And you need to ask yourself why and how can I get help with that?
And I guess that goes back to that CEO mindset, doesn't it? Of
Yeah.
having that eagle view, as you called it. And once you start delving into, well, why am I not reaching those milestones or those targets? Why am I not getting those 3 clients in? Is it to do with your marketing? Maybe you need to reach out to a marketer. Is it to do with your social media? Maybe you need to reach out there. Is it to do with how you're presenting yourself on your website, for example? I've actually just had a website audit done for myself, and the bloke who did it, and he was absolutely fantastic. He was pointing out things that I'd never even thought of. And it's about, I love this idea of that eagle view, that CEO view of your business, because until you really know your business, you can't work it and you can't run it, can you?
Exactly. And I think that's the thing is like the knowledge is honestly it's easy because you don't have I have an accounting degree. That's fine. Not everybody needs an accounting degree. But if you just set those monetary financial goals that you have, you can really start kind of visualizing, oh, that's all I need to do? Wow, that's actually really obtainable. Like I can do this. And it really helps you, like both of these are intertwined. You have to have that mindset of, I am going to reach these goals. I'm going to get help because we're in such a social world right now on internet. There are communities for everything. And I'm in masterminds, Facebook groups, you name it, you can find help to get you to those goals. So everything is just intertwined and be able to get you there.
There's so much value to what you're saying there, and I love it. And as a little aside, if any listeners haven't listened to the previous episode to this, where we spoke to Erica Nash about selling high ticket prices, I actually feel these two episodes are fitting really, really well together because there's so much value. We were talking about in the previous episode about selling high ticket prices, and you're now completely laying out that strategy. She was talking about how to create the high ticket prices, and you're completely looking at it from the way of, well, this is what we want to earn, so actually how do we work back from that? So listeners, if you haven't heard the previous episode, I'd listen to it because I do feel that these two episodes go hand in hand with each other. Completely not planned, but it's worked out quite well in that respect. It's all about knowing your business and having that knowledge. And as you said, this is such a theme of this episode and also of the podcast to date, of reaching out and having that support network around you and knowing what's attainable and what's manageable for yourself when it comes to scaling your business. And you were mentioning some different price points there as well, which I thought was really interesting because it comes back to that main theme of this idea that you don't have to sell more in order to make more. It's about having a strategy for your pricing in place from the beginning, which is going to make that much more attainable in the long run.
Exactly. And, it's one of those things where, and it kind of goes back to the fact that, yes, start cheap, but don't stay there. Keep growing, keep learning, keep gaining that confidence, keep getting that help. But if you are struggling so much, you need to evaluate everything. You need to evaluate, what can I get help with? Where are my financial goals? Is this realistic? It's okay to start off because that's what I did. That's what everybody does. Nobody really acknowledges how they started off, but it's scary to start off the bat charging these high prices. And that's okay. It's okay to be scared. Entrepreneurship is a scary thing to do, and not a lot of people can do it. So you should be proud of yourself for just trying and to make that imperfect action. But don't stay there. Get that confidence and start selling these higher prices, because the whole factor is, if you could only take on 3 clients a month and you're charging, let's say, $100, you're never going to be able to reach those monetary goals. So you need to really think about that realistic expectations of, how much can I sell? What prices do I need to sell at? And really kind of evaluate that strategy that you have.
And I love that idea of what you were saying about starting cheap but not staying there, because it's really difficult. It's almost like that imposter syndrome when we're putting out our first service, our first product, whatever it is. It's really challenging for a lot of us to really make sure that we're selling our worth, as it were. And it's really easy to put out a course or a digital product, whatever it is, quite cheaply. But as you said, you're not going to be reaching 5K a month, 10K a month, whatever it is that your goal is, if you continue to sell something for $47 or $100 or whatever it is. And I guess what I'm getting so much from what you're saying is, it's important to have that roadmap and have those goals planned out. And just because you're starting out selling a course at, I'm just going to say $100 here, if you've got a roadmap in place, then you're going to be thinking to yourself, actually, within the next 6 months, I want to be selling that course at $200. Right. So what do you need to do to get yourself from that $100 price point to that $200 price point? And as you said, it's doing your market research. It's looking at what people are doing around you and taking the bits that you like, skipping out the bits that you don't like, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, having that plan in place and having that confidence, I suppose. But again, comes back to having the mindset and the knowledge about your own business to be able to get to where you want to where you want to get.
Exactly. Confidence is such a huge thing. It's the hardest thing that you're ever going to get in your business is the confidence. And I mean, like it goes back when I first started, I was scared. I was so scared. I was like, I'm not going to be good at this. I don't know what I'm doing. I had the book smart. I had, I had my degree, but actually going through that experience, and I'm also an introvert, so it's hard for me to talk to people, and I've grown so much. So when I was first working with marketers, they're like, oh, you need to charge like $1,500 for this service, and you need to charge, and I was like, I'm too scared to do that. So it kind of made me not want to even put myself out there because I was just too scared. I was like, oh, I can't charge these prices. So my kind of key takeaway to that is don't be scared, just go out there, make that imperfect action, have your roadmap of where you want to go and where you want to be at, and just go out and do it, pave your own path.
Absolutely. And I think for anyone selling services and what have you, it's remembering as well that people are coming to you for your knowledge. And yes, you're right. A lot of us have got the book smart or what have you, but it's remembering that people are coming to you because they're interested in your take and how you approach that problem, I suppose. And I think that's really important to remember. And it goes hand in hand with the confidence of, as I said, people are coming to you for a specific reason. I'm going to hand over to you now and ask, what is the key takeaway that you want listeners to take away from this episode? Because we have covered so much. If I was listening to this episode, I'd probably have like 2 pages full of notes right now. So what would your key takeaway message be for listeners from this episode?
So my key takeaway is, if you remember nothing else, think about this. Think about your why. Why are you doing this? Where do you want your business to be at? And the realisticness of it. So looking at being realistic about how you can get those goals. And the last thing, don't be afraid to get help, and don't be afraid to reach out to your community, whoever that may be, to help you reach those goals. Simple as that.
I love that so much. I know you finished up with saying simple as that, but sometimes this simple advice is the best advice that we can give and we can take. Absolutely. So how can listeners find out more about you, catch up with you on social media? We'll put the links below, but how can we catch up with you?
Yeah, so I'm on social media a lot with like my personal Facebook page. I also have a business page as well. You can send me a DM. I'm always open to coffee chats. I literally half my day is spent on coffee chats, just sharing my advice, helping others, because you don't need to do this alone. And it's a free coffee chat. If you just need to vent, if you just need to talk about how your kids are driving you crazy, or if you want to talk about strategies, I'm here to help. And that's why now that I'm a CEO and I'm running my business as an eagle view, I can be here helping you. So if you need help, don't stay stuck, reach out to me and we can just talk about it.
I love that. And I'm going to put all of those links in the show notes as well. Perfect. So if anyone wants to reach out to you, Kira, then they can do that. Well, thank you so much for this episode. I have had so much fun. I think there has been so much value. And as I said, it's very coincidental that it links in really well to our previous episode. But thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, this was so much fun. And I think I'm passionate about this. So I'm just really happy to be able to be here and share my knowledge.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Bloggers Creating Courses. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, leave a rating and a review. Ratings and reviews help us to reach more people who want to build and scale their online course. So you're really helping to widen the support for our blogging community. To catch all of the latest from me, you can follow me on Instagram @VeritySongon. I'll see you next time. Happy content creating.